Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahawashai, Bahasham Racha Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Akian. It's your brother Abawan back again with another video. And this is an article from The Guardian, and it reads Ireland would need to cull up to 1.3 million cattle to reach climate targets. With more than a third of the country's greenhouse gases coming from farming, Dublin faces huge pressure over reduction aims. And basically, what you're seeing here is, ESO's NWO, specifically the coming, shortage of food. In other words, a famine, a completely engineered, manufactured farming. Because right now, Esau is giving you the reasoning or the logic that, farming, animal husbandry, okay, having cattle and having all these farms increases the carbon emissions and therefore causes global warming. So now what Esau Edom is doing is that, he's paying off all these farmers and using this as an excuse because people are starting to call Esau out on this. People are starting to find out that, farmers are being forced to kill their animals, farmers are being forced to destroy their crops. So this is the excuse, it needs to be done in order to quell global warming, right? The global carbon emissions. After all, it's far more healthier and far better for you to grow insects, right? Bugs instead of eating, regular clean meat. Okay. But we already know how this devil works. We are not ignorant of Satan's devices. And we know the plans that Esau has set up. And basically, what this is just going into is the Great Reset and the NWO. Esau Edom is making, basically pulling that out of his ass again. Okay. Just more news going into the coming NWO and the coming global collapse. And it's time you're seeing it more and more, more information being brought out concerning it. So, anyway, this is the article. Up to 1.3 million cattle would have to be culled in Ireland to reach anticipated government targets for reducing greenhouse gases in the agricultural sector, a new report has concluded. Irish farmers are expecting the worst after Taoiseach Michael Martin described the report by KPMG, commissioned by weekly newspaper the Irish Farmers Journal, as scaremongering. The debate over agriculture's role in reducing carbon emissions is a hugely controversial topic in Ireland. Pitting Dublin against rural communities, the country has long relied on farming alongside multinational investments to drive its economy. Irish beef and dairy brands such as Kerrygold and Pilgrim's Choice are among its most successful exports. And basically, what you're seeing is, Easterdom is trying to shut down the Irish food production for the sake of quote unquote global warming, okay, which of course goes back to pollution and the greenhouse gases and the CO2 emissions, which once again goes back to pollution, okay, and we know that the world is actually in pollution right now. You're reading Isaiah 24, I believe from verse 7, Micah 2, verse 10, and those precepts all go into this exact same topic. But the main thing here is the hypocrisy and the deceit of Esau Edom, okay? Because, how can you say that actually, it doesn't make a little sense since you have the unethical and ways in which these farmers actually slaughter these animals, man, with all this technology and basically putting them on conveyor belts and using machines and all that, and that's where you ideally get your emissions from. The way that is the method that is being used or invented these modern days in order to harvest all these meat from these animals, man. unethical, completely corrupt, completely wicked, okay? But now we see Esau Edom. What he's trying to do is he's trying to set up his new world order, trying to set up his new world agenda with all of these, decrees out here. Okay, because basically what's happening is you're seeing a transfer of power upon the earth. And this should be the second time I'm bringing out this precept. I think I brought it out in one of my last videos. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, and to be from verse 10. I forget the exact verse. And you know what it reads? Because of unrighteous dealings. That's what I want to use to bring out this precept, okay? So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 10 verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. And that's right, because basically what is happening is a new kingdom is about to be set up upon the earth, okay? And Esau Edom, in his pride and his arrogance, believes that the new kingdom that will be set up is him, the elites of Esau Edom, your international money men, right? Your Rothschild and Rockefeller types. They believe that they are about to set up their own, a new kingdom, or rather a renewed kingdom, which is why they call it the Great Reset, right? But here is the thing, okay? The Great Reset is coming, but not in the way you Edomites expect it, and not in the way that you people of the world expect it, because the real resetter, okay, the real power, the real master of the great reset is out here doing work, and that is Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh. Okay, so all of these agendas, all of these you know, all of these agendas that Esau Edom has set up, the complete destructuring of this kingdom and its society and its infrastructures, which of course one of them being agriculture, okay, which are clearly seen being done with all the reports of different, slaughterhouses, different food stores being burned down, crops and animals having to be destroyed because of disease, because of, overproduction or lack of supply, because of global warming, because of an unknown disease once again, all these things are all being orchestrated, they are all being controlled by Yahweh Basham Yahweh, with Esau Edom being falsely deceived, right? Because the Most High had sent a spirit of deceit to the elites of Esau Edom to make them believe that by destroying the infrastructures, okay, all the infrastructure, all the institutions, and I've already done a video about the definition of the word infrastructure and institution, but all the infrastructures that have held up this world, this current beast system, the beast system, the beast that is the dragon with the seven heads and the 10 horns, okay, and all the infrastructures that have been set up to hold this kingdom, Esau Edom is beginning to destroy them, is beginning to destroy them in order to bring in his great reset. And it's the Most High that is the one that is in control of Esau Edom and making him to destroy his own kingdom. And this is what the scripture says in order to prove that point, okay? Because that's basically all we're reading right here. What we're reading is this precept right here. This is the book of Job 12, verse 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Because when you read articles like the one I just read to you, okay, 1.3 million cattle are being forced, are being forced, are about to be euthanized in Ireland, okay, for the sake of quote unquote global warming. When you read articles like this, all the prophecies or the scriptures come into mind. So let's get this one as well, because this is the first precept I thought about when I read that article, Jeremiah 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. Okay, and the highlight is of course the pestilence. Because when you talk about famine, that is a pestilence, that is a plague. And I have seen different countries, different kingdoms. Okay, Babylon the Great, Canada, Ireland, I believe also happened in the Dutch, in Holland. It's like I've forgotten the exact country. But you are seeing all these crops being destroyed, all these food production, cattle, crops, food production companies, like food production and warehouses, okay, food storage warehouses being destroyed because Esau Edom is bringing a famine upon the earth. And even the scriptures tell you about that. The scriptures warn you about that famine and plagues, right? Here it is. So this is the book of Second Esdras 15, verse 5. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. And we know that right now on the earth there is no shortage of the destruction and death by the sword. You have your war in Ukraine, you have your war in the Middle East, you have your internal conflicts in all these various nations. Somebody gets shut up in Babylon the Great. Somebody gets stabbed in the UK. Somebody, something happens in Europe, and a lot of people get put to death as well. The complete destabilization of the continent of Africa. The constant war in the Middle East, okay, judgment in Asia with China and North Korea threatening all of its neighbors at the border, right? China about to invade Taiwan, North Korea about to invade South Korea, so on and so forth, okay? All of these things, there is no shortage of the plague of the sword upon the earth. And of course, famine, and that is the thing about coming into as well, where there is a lack of bread now, with a lack of food out here. Let's not forget that I believe it should be 4 weeks away from the global wheat reserves running out, right? And then you have a wheat shortage, and that's add that to the list of shortages that you're already having on the earth, and you see that, okay, we are at that time, we are at the end right now, because once the food runs out, once there's actually a famine out here, okay, that's 9 days left. As there's an old saying in the world that's everybody on the earth is 9 meals away from anarchy, because you already know what people will do when there is a lack of bread. And ironically, Second Esdras 15 clearly tells you what will happen during that time. So let's get that. Let me look for it. Let me jump down to that. I think I went it's too fast. Okay. Here it is. I'll start from sedition. Okay. So this is the book of Second Esdras 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the cause of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And basically, when that time comes, when there is a lack of bread, when there's an actual famine, all of the people in Babylon, the great, all of the people in the world lose their empathy, lose their sympathy, and go completely insane because of the need for survival, and even more importantly, okay, and you can clearly see what is going to happen. You need to explain with all hell breaking loose. That starts civil unrest, that starts invading one another, that starts taking and killing, and anything they want, they just take it, right? Because that is the time that we're coming into right now, where there is complete anarchy upon the earth, the purge, those, like, you see the things that happen in the purge, it will become, that wasn't a movie, that was a documentary showing you the times that are about to come upon the earth. And this isn't fear mongering, because this is something that is prophesied to happen and will come to pass, okay? And that's why Esau is engineering this right now. I will not be the main reason why, and also the second reason why he's engineering this, in order to make it easier, or rather make it easier to force people to accept his charagma, okay, in order to receive food, in order to receive, all of these things that have been taken out of the society, which out of this kingdom, your food, your energy, your light, running water, and so on and so forth. You have to take his charagma, okay, under the guise of under the guise of helping the earth, under the guise of doing good, the disguise of doing good. You see these devils bringing death and destruction upon the earth because all of these things that you see Esau Edom doing, all of his plans, because this is all being set up and already been orchestrated and warned. Okay, you are warned of it by the WEF when they had their meeting in Davos talking about global warming and all the things they need to do in order to prevent it. It is them implementing all that right now, okay? And all of this is under the deceit, the deception of helping the earth, when in all actuality, these devils are the reason why the earth is being destroyed, the earth is polluted, why there is so much, CO2, right? That's what they always want to use as the excuse for global warming. The carbon emissions are so high that the earth is getting hotter and it's melting the cold polar ice caps and so on and so forth. Well, Esau Edom is the reason why this is happening, okay? These devils are the ones that are causing this much pollution to be on the earth with their constant need for that fossil fuel, right? Constant need for oil to fund their war machines, to fund their, to fund all their wicked ways in order to enrich all their wicked ways of enriching themselves. But yet, look at where they are taking it out at. They are hitting you in the kitchen, right? Trying to cut off your supply to food in order to basically weaken you people, okay? And I saw another article, let me go to that, basically going into why world hunger is a good thing. So let's bring that out as well, because this is where the world is heading into right now. Esau Edom is trying to force a famine. Esau Edom is trying to force a famine. Okay, let's get that. Why world hunger is a good thing. And basically the reason is just simply hungry people are better workers. Okay, it seems that they're taking it down. Yup, just as I thought. Just as I thought. It seems they took it down. It seems they took it down. Let me check. Let me try and see whether I can find it somewhere else. But because it seems they took it down. Yup, they took it down. I can't find it anymore. But basically, you had the UN talking about why world hunger is a good thing, and the reasoning is just simply because hungry people work better. And this is how the elites of Esau Edom see you people out there in the world, man, as basically useless eaters. And that's why you're having depopulation. That's why you're having a engineered farming right now to call your numbers and then force the rest to become perpetual slaves under the elites, okay? And that's why all of this is happening. It's not for the good of mankind, because you know that Esau Edom is incapable of doing good, right? We know that these devils, okay, they they cannot do good, as the scriptures say. Can you make a clean thing out of an unclean thing, right? Let me see if I can get that. So this is the book of Job 14 verse 4. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? No, not one. right? Because these devils are irredeemable, But anyway, let me just end it right there. So with that, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Bahasham Racha Kwadash, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom. And through the Spirit, I hope you are edified. Shalom.